stand by. The vacuum tubes are warming up. This is a special live broadcast right here on Georgia Radio.
Got a special guest here with us today, just in time for the Christmas break. I'm talking about Mr. Louisiana himself, Mr. Will Wesley, checking in with us from down there. How are you, Will, and Merry Christmas to you.
Hey, Matt, it's good to be here, and a Merry Christmas to you and everybody listening. Very glad to be here today.
We haven't had you on before, and this is the first time, and I want to get to know you a little bit, but you've got a new Christmas single out. It's an old favorite. We were talking about Brenda Lee just the other day because our friend Michael Bright, who has the Music Memories Museum down in Swainsboro, Georgia, just had a bunch of stuff, I guess, enshrined down there from Brenda Lee. But Rockin' Around the Christmas Tree, you sort of made your take on this. How did you decide on this song? I love it because it says Holly Jolly in it, and the last name's Jolly. So kind of a staple in this house.
That's kind of how I've decided to use it as well. As when I was a kid, man, we always had at Christmas time the Brenda Lee classic playing at our house. You know, when my manager Brian came to me and asked me, Will, I know you're a bit of an outlaw country rocker, but I want you to do a Christmas song. What would you select? The first thought that came to my mind was Brenda Lee's Rockin' Around the Christmas Tree, because it reminded me of a more innocent time, and a time where, you know, everything was just so innocent in my childhood that I wanted to. You weren't
worried about paying taxes and artist royalties and all that stuff.
Well, that is the beauty of having a great team around you. We went through all the legal ramifications to make this happen. So it's, we always have to worry about that, but we took care of it legally.
I love it. Well, and let's talk about you just a little bit. How'd you get into this? Because when I hear your stuff, and I've looked you up on YouTube and other sites, but you have this unique and I think I'm guessing you're from Louisiana. I shouldn't have spoken out on that, but I know you've got a lot of strong ties down there. But you have this unique blend, like so many artists from that state do. Dr. John comes to mind. Even Los Lonely Boys from back in my home state of Texas. I hear all of that in your music.
Well, you know, Matt, I am from Baton Rouge, Louisiana, but I always listen to music outside of Louisiana. One of the things that always made me, as you said, very unique and different is that I'm not an artist who tries to follow the swamp Louisiana sound to where I don't branch out into other musics. I love the artists from Louisiana. But in my personal style, I've always been a student of music, and I never wanted to just limit myself to one sound. So one of the things that I've always done is, you mentioned the Los Lonely Boys. I'm a huge fan of those guys, and I've always been a huge fan of Stevie Ray Vaughan and Double Trouble and jazz from Dave Brubeck and George Benson. I've also, and in country music, naturally, I've always loved the classics, Merle Haggard, Johnny Cash, Waylon Jennings, and all these people I find their influences in my writing and in my sound, because those are the artists I grew up loving, including Brenda Lee, and that's kind of the way I've always looked at myself as an artist, as someone who is not limited to one place, and always tried to branch out and grow, so I listen to all these different artists, and that's kind of what molded my sound.
Yeah, well, it's like everything gets down there from the Mississippi River, so why not the music too, right? I mean, it just all flows through there. So I think it's great, and it comes out in your songs, and it comes out in your original work too. Where do you tie in? Because I've been listening to it, and the one thing I haven't heard, maybe I've just missed it, I haven't heard an accordion, and I don't know how you get away with that down there at all, because I've got one sitting here in the studio. I mean, so I didn't hear any of that, and it's interesting. You're a guitar guy through and through, but yeah.
Well, that is actually one of the things that makes me a bit different here in Louisiana. And, we tour a lot outside of Louisiana. I've always been a very guitar-driven artist. We always push towards guitars. There's fiddles. There's the steel classic country elements. But with the accordion, there's no doubt it's big here in Louisiana. But it's just never been a part of my sound, man.
Really?
I've always been more.
Come on now. You gotta give some nods back to Flaco Jimenez and all those guys back with the. You mentioned Stevie Ray. He loved mixing it in there every once in a while. So
Oh yeah. None against the instrument.
But I get it. I get it though. When you grow up there and you're playing at a boudin stand, you're like, I got to do something different. So I hear it.
That's right.
I think it's great. Center Stage did a big article on you. In fact, the song premiered in Center Stage magazine. There's a lot going on in your world right now, Will. You're home for the holidays, you mentioned, but you're out playing even internationally, Thailand, a lot of Asia. Let's talk about what you have coming up, though, where folks can see you if they want a little road trip. It looks like March and April, kind of when you get back out on the road there. Where are you going to be?
Very true, my friend. We are home for the holidays, but we are going to be planning on going back to Europe to do a tour with my friend Florian Fox. We're going to Switzerland later in the year. We're also looking to go return to Thailand at some point in the year as well, where we've been building a pretty prominent fan base. But for right now, you can even catch me at home. I'm doing some local shows. I'm at home for a few months. You can check all this out at willwesleymusic.com. You can see our tour dates and also stay informed because things are going to be added very soon. So we're going to be down in Texas at the top of January as well. So we're definitely got a lot going, and we're definitely touring around.
I think that's great. And, you're carrying that mystique and that music with you, even though, as you've said, you've tried to not limit yourself. That's such a cool place to be from. So, I still hear the sound, and I think that's what really resonated with me when I was listening to your music. That's the cool part about Louisiana is it draws in, just like a big gumbo. It draws everything in, and it's so cool to hear that. What would you be? I asked this question yesterday of Cody Norris. What would you be if you were not a musician?
If I wasn't a musician, I would honestly just be an actor or a writer. I've always had a love for the arts, and aside from music, I'm a bit of a poet, and I write a lot of stories. I've always been fascinated by novels and mystery novels and things like that. So I would definitely be a writer, and I'm a big fan of film. So I would definitely be an actor. And, I'll probably dabble in all of this throughout my career.
Yeah, right. Or being a waiter at Chili's. You never know. I mean, it could happen to all of us. I think
never know, man.
I think it's great that you're doing all of this and
writing stories on a napkin.
Yeah. Well, right. Here you go, buddy. Sign it up. So Vince Vance and the Valiants, they kind of have owned Christmas. Brenda Lee. For me, it was always Andy Williams. When the Andy Williams record came on, and that meant it was time to set the tree up. And so it's cool that this is kind of your song and that you're playing it. Let's play it right now. If you're listening on the live stream, I'm glad you're here on Georgia Radio. We're going to play Mr. Will Wesley's right now, Rockin' Around the Christmas Tree. And if you're listening to us on the podcast, you're going to have to go download it because we can't play it because of the lawyers on a podcast. We don't want to get Will in trouble, and we don't want to get in trouble. How can folks download this? Because it is great for Christmas, and if they want to have it on their phone or wherever, what do they need to do to help you out?
Well, man, we're on all of your favorite online digital stores, from Apple to Amazon to Spotify. We definitely are everywhere you want to look. So you can just type in Will Wesley, Rocking Around the Christmas Tree, and there will be. And also got a music video out, so you can check us out on YouTube as well.
I wanted to ask you about Leah before we go. Tell me about that song, because that's a cool video that you made, and it looks like a lot of local characters, great storytelling, and I see the cinematography in there. That a lot of people aren't doing the kind of stuff you were doing in that video to be an independent artist. Talk to me about that.
Well, man, I appreciate that question. And what the song Leah is about is a true story. It's a song about a love that I once had and how it went south and how things oftentimes happen that way when you're younger. And, both of us had some growing up to do. And the actual video is part of a trilogy that I've written. I call it the Let It All Burn trilogy. And basically what it does is it starts off talking about a man who is going through a separation. It takes place in the 40s, and he's coming back from a war. And you find that through the progression of this trilogy, I'm not going to tell you everything, but you find that he's really not in the 40s. He's just living in his mind. He's living in the past. He's really living in current day America. And it's a trilogy following this person's journey to the breakup and to the realization of who he really is throughout the trilogy. So if you want to check it out, it's the Let It All Burn trilogy on YouTube.
All right. Any advice for the young artists that are listening to this today? Because you've been out there swinging for the fences. You're tied in with our buddy Scott Sexton up there in Nashville. Talk to us about that, about this artist process, and we'll let you get out of here. But what are your words of wisdom here, Will?
My words of wisdom are always follow your heart, stay true to your heart, and never be deterred by adversity or negativity. You're going to run into it as a young artist. You're going to run into troubled times. You're going to run into times where you may feel like you want to quit. But if you stay true to your heart and you just keep playing, you'll break through eventually. Just follow your heart and stay true to yourself.
There you go. Will Wesley, everybody, from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Check out his new Christmas single, Rockin' Around the Christmas Tree. Wherever you download your music, be sure to like and save it to your playlist. Isn't that right? After you buy it.
That's right. That's very correct.
There you go. Merry Christmas. Will Wesley, everyone.
Country, that's what I grew up listening to.
Georgia Radio. We love you more than peanuts and peaches. So glad you're here.